Now this is looking really bad, looking awful, isn't it? Welcome to another edition of Exotic Gardening UK, Yorkshire Kris Weekly. And in this week's episode, we're going to have a look around the garden at the plants that have been damaged by the cold weather we've had so far this winter, and look at the plants that are looking pretty well considering the cold. So we'll start with the Trachycarpus martianus, which is by far the most tender Trachycarpus palm, and you can see the outer leaves are completely being destroyed. The ones closer to centre are not looking good and they'll die off. And the centre itself has fallen over here. But the spear is firm. That is totally fine, that central spear. If we can just focus on that. So I'm sure it'll be okay overall. But it looks very bad, very bad at the moment. Compare that to the palms around it, the good old Waggy, which looks fantastic. And the Tachyle looking good as well. The Musabajus weren't protected at all this year. You can see, obviously, they're being cut down to the ground. So they'll pup later in the year when it warms up in spring. This large Dicksonia antarctica tree fern, most of the leaves have sort of browned off and frazzled, still got a bit of green in some. I'm sure this will be fine in spring when it puts out some new leaves. And these tree ferns look a lot better condition, far less brown, a lot more green because they're protected with the palms above. They've still got the straw in the centre. And overall, they're looking not bad at all. This little Scheffler alpina, still looking green, always has a weird growth habit in my garden of basically losing the growth point when it tries to flower in autumn, with some side shoot of a few leaves, but that looks okay. Scheffler rodendifolia, looking totally fine, which is good. Musa sycymensis. For the first time I've not protected this, didn't dig it up, left it in the ground, and we'll see if that shoots in spring. This is my Scheffler macrophylla, and this is the worst it's ever looked, although that leaf isn't too bad. You can see some others have been hit hard by the frosts and pretty much killed off there, look. But the growing point in the centre is fine. You can see that there, it's still actually, well, trying to grow now. So that'll be fine in spring. This Latisectus is protected a bit from the loquat above. So some of the leaves are looking okay, but there is a lot of damage on some of these leaves with bronzing and browning off. But that'll be totally fine. Scheffler taiwaniana, no damage whatsoever on this. It's got leaves looking good from the ground all the way to the growing tip at the top. Now this is looking really bad, looking awful, isn't it? That's Trachycarpus latisectus, all the leaves completely killed off by the cold. But if we go down into the spear, it's still green, still firm, and that will bounce back this summer, although it's going to look rubbish for a few more months. Now this shows what location does for a plant. This is Striatula, looks absolutely wrecked. All the foliage has died down, so it'll have to regrow from the ground. But if we look at another specimen in full sun, it's a totally different story. So look at these Striatulas, almost perfect condition, but these are in full sun in a pot by the house, and they look, like I said, in excellent condition and completely different from the other ones in the open ground. And again, more Striatulas in the front garden, untouched by the cold weather, because we're in a much sunnier spot. Now this could possibly be the only loss in the garden, or at least something that I don't want to wait for it to look good again, and this is a Cordyline Torbay Dazzler. It's pretty much lost the growth points, browned off. It might shoot from the base, but I'll probably just dig this one up and let the other plants in this area grow up and take the space. Now if we look at this archway, we've got two Akebia chocolate vine plants. Got the whitish cream one and we've got the purple one. The one on the left is a purple one, and you can see it's lost all its leaves across there. Whereas the white one has actually kept all its leaves, which is quite surprising because it has been very, very cold and it is pretty exposed in the middle of the garden, but yeah, it's kept all its leaves. So it does show you can get some, well, quite a large variation in terms of leaf cover on the same species. It just happens to be two varieties with different coloured flowers. And here's some more striatulas looking even worse than the others, and this is because it's in a shadier winter spaces. In summer it gets some sun, but it's too shady here really, so that's why it's died back so bad with the cold weather. Here we have the wonderful and quite rare Trachycarpus aureophilus, and it is a bit battered by the winds, a little bit of bronzing on the leaves, but overall it's still looking good, even though it's been subjected to so much cold, down to -6.5, but not bad. And you can see it's pretty tall now. Well, the leaves themselves go up to 3 meters tall. And now to look at some of the good plants that are looking good considering the weather being subjected to. So here we've got the tree ferns, all looking nice and lush and nice and green. That's because there's so many packed together, and they've got the overhead canopy of the eucalyptus trees. Briar and martyr palm tree still looking very nice, lots of blue coloration on the leaves here. The spear is nice and firm in there. It's actually looking like it's pushing out a leaf at the moment, so that's good. Yucca linearis or linifolia, no patches of black on that, no sooty mould, no rotting off. It's looking in excellent condition for February. Jabea chilenensis, my favourite palm in the garden I think, and it's still decent shade of green for this time of year and no damage whatsoever on the leaves. Agave montanus, got a couple in here, and there's absolutely no damage whatsoever on those. And if we just look up, we've got Agave americana, and again that's looking in very good condition. We've got some spotting on some of the older leaves, but overall it looks like it's got away with the winter cold so far. Nice little cacti down there, no spotting or rot showing at the moment, so far so good with this cacti in the garden. Agave americana variegata, it's not dead, it's looking pretty good. Yes, we've got some spotting on some of the leaves, but the centre looks firm and it's a decent colour, so at the moment that's just about got away with it this winter. Cycas revoluta, no damage on that whatsoever. It's not a very good colour because of, as I mentioned in previous videos, it didn't get watered at the height of summer when the leaves flushed, so it did get a bit of smaller deformed leaves, but they've not been damaged by the cold, so that's great to see. Another large agave Lafantha in there, and that's looking good as well. No spotting or damage at all on that one, so that's proving to be surprisingly, remarkably hardy in my garden. Pitcher plants been left out all winter and they're in good condition really. With the wind I've had a chair dumped on top of them, but I've moved that off now, and they're looking good. They can go much lower than the temperatures have been enduring this winter. And here's my Canary Island date palm. This has been subjected to -6.5 with no protection, no wrapping up or tying up of the leaves whatsoever, and it's completely green. Centre looks firm, and if I look at the outer leaves, these look good as well. So all very good, and hopefully it won't spear pole in spring. Some palms do take a long time to show their damage, but so far so good. So how have these plants done in your garden? Are your plants looking better or worse than the plants that you've seen in this episode? Let me know in the comments below and I'll get back to you with any advice you may need. Thanks for watching, and join me next week. We'll be doing more in the garden.